Winter is coming and every skateboarder all around is running to their indoor skate park to avoid certain death. But I happen to live in New York City where indoor skate parks are scarce. We have 50/50 skate park in Staten Island, but it's basically built for BMXers. In searching for indoor skate parks, I found two brands that tried their hand at indoor skate parks in New York before, Nike and Vans. Nike opened up their skate park just for the winter and it looked incredible. It was a legit concrete poured skate park in the back of a retail store, only allowing 10 skateboarders at a time because of the size. But unfortunately, when winter ended, the park disappeared. But there was one other indoor skate park that was supposed to last a lot longer. But before we get into that, let's have a skate session here at Pier 25 Skate Park. Getting back on my front foot training, doing more nose slides than tail slides, just because there's so many tricks I want to learn that require a strong front foot. Anyways, it was open for 8 years, and this is what the house manager said about it closing. We have decided to close our Brooklyn space so that we can continue to evolve House of Vans experience with broader communities across the US. But I don't really get it. I think Brooklyn, in terms of content and community, is one of the strongest in skateboarding, period. I just don't think they were making enough money. Skate parks with just people paying for it, it's not sustainable in a place like New York City. I assumed that the skate park, if it got a good deal, was about $30,000 to $40,000 a month. Let's take my friend Doton, for example. He has a space at 393 Broadway. He gets some of the biggest celebrities and musicians to come by, meet up with fans, pop-up shops, etc. The only reason that space works and makes a ton of money is because he is desperately passionate about it. He will sleep there. He'll work literally 18 hours in one day because it's his baby. It's his project. And I legitimately think it takes someone who is as passionate about Vans as the guy who founded Vans to run a space like that successfully. Which leads us into a topic that I think is very fitting for this video. My indoor skate park. A while ago I mentioned that I wanted an indoor skate park in New York City. I've been going through so many places, talking to so many different people. Long story short, it just didn't work out. Recently I even mentioned going to Arizona, and I seem very optimistic in this video, very excited, but even that whole thing fell through. And I will say, of course, after this video I'm gonna stop talking about it unless it just happens, or I'm just gonna stop talking about it. After so many spaces, we actually found a spot in Brooklyn for $6,000 a month, which is crazy cheap for a warehouse here because most of the prices we found were at least $10,000. Somebody wanted to be an official partner, and I told them they could if they paid half the rent and if they used their name on the lease, which I know sounds like a huge sacrifice, but this is kind of how this world works. Once that fell through, I had somebody else who was willing to sign the lease, and then I would just pay the rent in full, but an extra $6,000 a month would actually have me paying almost $10,000 a month on just like rent alone, and living in New York alone, which is more money than I'm willing to spend a month. But in New York, you also have to be making 40 times the rent. So if the rent for the warehouse is $6,000, what's 40 times that? $240,000 a year, but they probably take your actual rent into account. So it could be anywhere up to like, you have to make $300,000 plus a year, which is, I failed. The obstacle is the way, right? That's the way that it's supposed to be. So every single bad thing kind of leads to whatever you're gonna do next, but a lot has changed. since my first ambition to do this. I got really into illustration. I started making the kind of videos that I really like to make on this platform, and they started doing better than any of my other videos I've ever done on my channel. I've become a lot more zen, I guess, as a human being. It's very easy for me to just kind of flow through life now and do things that just I know are fun and I recognize as fun. And sometimes the idea of a warehouse and turning it into this big giant thing is a lot of stress. I'm good at stress and I'm good at projects, but with everything else that I'm trying to do, it does seem like a lot. Regardless, I lost, but something even worse that happened in the transition, which is totally my fault and totally dumb. I ended the lease on my office because we were pretty much good to go on the warehouse. So when it didn't happen, this place is now on the market. Now I don't have an office either. Which is also fine because I never really come in here, but all this stuff that's in here right now, I have to get out within the next couple of days. And now I'm just realizing how big of a task that is. You can go ahead and shoot me an email. I'll be out and about. Okay. Cool. Perfect. I'll be close. This is the next day. Let's see what this place ended up looking like. Jeez. There you go. That's the best angle of the space. Completely emptied out. And there it is. But what's funny is more on the point. I think that's another reason that, let's get out of here because the echo is terrible. I know some of you used to watch Casey Neistat, and that was 368 where my office was, and you've probably seen since Casey Neistat announced what 368 was gonna be, a lot of things slowed down for that space. I guarantee you if Casey Neistat put as much effort into 368 as he did for his vlogs initially, it would be this giant, giant business, even though it is big just on his credit alone. It's just really hard for people who like to create a lot to delegate their work. And when we attempt to do it, when Casey attempts to get people to run 368, when I attempt to get an editor or a filmer, when my girlfriend does the same thing, it's a struggle. And it just doesn't seem to work out the way it did when we just did it ourselves. Anyways, I do happen to be in a time in my life where I am having the most fun doing this job that I've ever had before. I'm having so much fun drawing and then posting things to Instagram, getting photos, and just basically being as creative as I possibly can. On that note, stay tuned for another video every Tuesday and Thursday on my podcast channel. You can check it out. Okay, never mind. Check out my podcast down below. It's all about anime and animation. I do it with my brother. A really, really good time. And of course, check out my Instagram if you want to see everything in real time. Human hot faces. I'll see you next time for another video. Love you so much. Progress daily and keep killing it.